First of all, I want to say thank you to Miss Stacy, as always, coming through with the vibes, creating some good energy. And family, please go ahead and send those last minute messages out. Get the people you like, love, and care about on tonight's call. I would imagine this is going to be a slightly different call, something fresh, something innovative, something that you can pack and take with you, and maybe you can even take advantage of it on a go forward basis. But as always, it's your boy Destrian, man. It's Motivational Monday. It's also Black History Month. And one of the things we have prided ourselves on doing is telling stories of those that look like us, those true champions and those heroes that are out doing the work every day in our communities and fighting the fight for us. So one of the things we wanted to do is also focus on mental health. You guys know that we've been big on mental health, trying to make sure that we have the proper tools to number one, communicate well, and bring up those things, create a space where it's comfortable for us to talk about those things that have probably been taboo for a long time in our community. And it creates trauma, and trauma can stem from either past events or fear of future ones. One of the biggest things that I think that we have facing us as a community is the hangover that we have from systemic type issues that we haven't properly been able to either heal from or have the proper tools to address. So tonight, we're very fortunate to have two folks with us that are going to share some tools and some ways that maybe we can start the healing process that might be a little bit different than what you traditionally hear from, Western medicine and or culture. So you may have seen on the news where you have a lot of professional athletes that are using some of these tools and techniques where they're tapping into some of the deeply rooted things that either hurt them or finding a way that these things also then drive them, right? And so really getting to the root cause of things, dealing with that hurt, that trauma, those issues. So we have none other than Mr. Ronny Somerville joining us tonight, Coach Ronny for those on the call tonight. We also have the beautiful Coach Resha with us as well. Now, you may or may not know that it just so happens that Mr. Somerville is fortunate enough to be in union with this beautiful queen as well. I had the opportunity to speak with them for just a little bit last night. I'm really excited about the conversation, about the dialogue that we want to have with all of you. They reassured me that questions are more than fine. You guys know kind of how we do things here at Global FX Trade Club. We want to be respectful of their time, so we want to follow a basic protocol. If you do have a question, please raise your hand for me to acknowledge you, or you can put your question in the chat, and we can weave those questions into tonight's conversation. But as always, guys, come off mute. Please give them a warm Global FX Trade Club welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Somerville.
Hello, hello.
Mrs. Somerville.
Hello,
So glad
thank
to have
you.
you guys
Thank you.
here. It's so good to
Thank
see you, Ronny, looking like your brother looking like you. But I mean, he ain't got all that beard and all that, so he got that clean shaved face. But it's cool. So glad you guys are here.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So as always, I like to always start these conversations with just a bit of background. And, I think that sometimes, introductions can be helpful, but I also like to give the platform up for you to tell your own story. So before we dive into things tonight, I just want to give you guys a few moments to open the call with a little bit about yourselves and some of the more pertinent facts about you guys as a business and also as a couple that, would kind of ingratiate the audience to starting this discussion. So the floor is yours.
All right. Bae, you want to do the honors?
Of course, sure. Well, my name is Ronny, guys, Coach Ronny, and this is Coach Resha. And we started this business. It's called Healing4Purpose. We consider ourselves mental health coaches, and we use hypnosis to help us to help people to heal from past experiences. We've all gone through some experiences, some that we consider normal, some that are not so normal. But many of us have problems. You kind of getting past those things. And we'll get further on into how we know that we have problems. But I have a passion for helping people. It came out of just pure direction of my life. What do I want to do? What am I called to? And I was looking for something, big, like I'm a singer or, all these other gifts, that these outward gifts that people have, and I couldn't find it. But what I kept hearing is, when I explain something to people, it's like, you made that make sense, thank you, or what you said really helped me, and thank you. And so I didn't realize that that was counseling, so to speak, or coaching. And so later, many years later, God directed my life to become a licensed professional counselor. And I specialized in trauma. I was looking for a way to help people to heal, so they wouldn't have to retell their stories. They wouldn't have to re-injure themselves. And I didn't like the fact that they would go to a counseling office and have to say, regurgitate all this information again, just to for someone to say, well, I don't know what to do with it. Matter of fact, you triggered me now. So now I don't know what to do. And so I was looking for a way, and I found it through what we call EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. But I still felt there was something else. And then I moved on to accelerated resolution therapy. And that was kind of like EMDR on steroids, but I was still looking for something else. I still wasn't satisfied. And then I was led to hypnosis. And this is it. This is the thing that is allowing us to be able to help people to heal. I'm talking about, guys, in one session, in 2 sessions, people can get free from 20 years of trauma. So that's kind of how I've gotten into to this avenue. And babe, you want to tell them about you?
Yeah, thank you, babe. Well, my background is education. I've been in the education field since 1996. One of my frustrations with being in the system was I felt like we were preparing children for a test and not preparing them for their purpose. And so over the years, out of that frustration, the last year that I was in public schools, my body started having reactions to me being in the classroom. And I had never, over 20 some odd years, never experienced that. I started having anxiety and panic attacks like never before, and just my stress levels, even to the point one day when I went to work, my blood pressure shot up 200 over something. And so I knew it was something that was not normal. There was something going on that I needed to pay attention to. Well, what I realized was that my frustration with public school and with education is that I felt like we were constantly preparing kids for their test and not preparing them for their purpose. I've always longed for helping people to discover why they are here. So our belief is we're all here for a purpose, but a lot of times those stuck, what we call stuck emotions like anger, fear, sadness, hurt, and guilt keep us from really being able to move from where we are to where we want to be. And so with my husband already being a counselor, and coaching has always been something that I desired to do, it was a no-brainer for us to begin Healing for Purpose, so that we can help people move from those stuck emotions and then be able to find what their purpose is and live a fulfilling life.
I love that. Both of you used some words that jumped out at me that I think some of the folks that have been with our group for quite some time would attach themselves to and understand. But I really want to unpack it for the purposes of healing. You talked about purpose. You talked about passion. And then when Ronnie was talking, he was talking about the acceleration of these things, pulling these things forward. I've noticed that a lot of times as it relates to the counseling journey or the therapy journey, as Ronnie indicated, that could be years of unpacking trauma. It also becomes a huge burden sometimes financially, which brings on additional trauma and stress and focus. So can you talk a little bit about why it's important to pull these things forward in a really timely manner, and then have someone that I think can relate to the things that you've gone through? You talked about your experience as an educator and why those things, and you package those things together between yourself and Ronnie, how you're able to accelerate those processes.
Well, we offer services after we have consultations, because everyone's different. Everyone comes with different experiences. Me personally, and I like to, when I'm doing this, I do it from a place because I come from a place where I've had to get over anger, fear, sadness, guilt, so I can relate. So we wanted to make sure that we're offering something that is more tangible. And like my husband said, that's quicker, because sometimes we don't have years and years to get over something. But like he said, we've learned that now we're not healing the person, we're coaching them to self-healing. What happens is, the way our body is made, we're made to self-heal. But a lot of times we don't have a clue how. And like my husband said, the one strategy that not only helped me, but is helping our clients, is one of the tools is hypnosis. And so for that reason, I mean, personally, even with my business, just to give a real quick example, I have a hypnotist and a coach as well. And it was when it was starting our business, I felt like I was stuck. I felt like I couldn't keep moving forward, and I couldn't figure out what is going on. So I had a session, and lo and behold, it was all connected to when I was a child. When I was a child being teased, I never would have connected that me moving forward in my business had anything to do with being teased as a child. And what I came out of, just to give a quick little synopsis, I ended up having to tell myself, or I should say my younger self, I remember standing on the porch, looking over across the street to the boys that used to tease me. And I yelled, and this is the younger me, this is what happened in my session. The younger me yelled to those little two boys and told them, I am beautiful, I am confident, and I am strong. I wouldn't have never thought that me moving forward with business had anything to do with that. I'm almost 51 years old. So I carried this, and who knows how often or how long that has impacted my life, but I didn't know it. And that's the thing. Most of us have things that are in us. We have beliefs that we just have no clue. And so that's why we want to do this. And we're offering sessions that are more affordable for anyone, to be able to, if you want the help, and that's the thing, you gotta want it, then we offer solutions to help that. Babe, you want to add anything to that? And Destrian, I don't know if I answered your question directly now that I think
No, you
about
did.
it. So, okay.
No, no, you did, because before Ronnie jumps in, one of the things that popped in my mind, the amount of negative thoughts that we just have throughout the course of a day, naturally.
Mhm.
And I think I read somewhere that the average person has more than 5,000 adverse thoughts or responses in the course of a standard day. So again, like the years and years of that happening, it definitely takes a reprogramming of some
Yeah.
sorts to start
Yes.
to talk in a different way to create the type of atmosphere and energy around you that you want. So I'm really interested in diving deeper. But Ronnie, I want to come to you and let you also balance that for me.
Sure. So we all have what we call negative beliefs, or limiting beliefs, beliefs such as I'm abandoned, I'm alone, I'm not good enough, I'm invisible, I'm powerless, right? I'm helpless, I'm trapped. These are limiting beliefs that sometimes we're not even aware of, that's holding us back. My wife touched on this. Our bodies were designed to heal itself. And I don't have to prove that to anybody, because if you were a little boy or a little girl and you fell off your bike and you got your scar, and all of a sudden now your body is starting to heal, a scab forms, the skin now it falls off, and you're healed. I have a scar. I don't know if people can see, it's on my wrist now. I remember what happens, and I can mash in this scar here, but the pain is gone.
Mhm.
Right now, our minds were designed to do the exact same thing. But the problem is, we don't get to that place where our minds can heal itself enough, often enough. It does it in what we call REM sleep. And many of us don't reach REM sleep often enough. Here's the reason why: several reasons. Number one, we can't turn our brains off. Second reason, maybe because of medication that we're taking. Third reason, maybe because of negative thoughts, or we have these jobs where I work at night, or just many different reasons why I can't get to this REM sleep. But that's where our brain begins to heal itself. And so what we do is we trick the brain into thinking like, oh, I'm in real sleep and it's time to heal. Now, just simple as that. And let me give you another example. Everybody is familiar with a physical detox, right? If you've ever eaten Taco Bell or something like that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But many of us have never had an emotional detox. And this is what we offer people: an emotional detox, being able to, a way to be able to release the things that's inside that quite frankly, you forgot about. I mentioned earlier when we started that our bodies are indicators that we're ready to deal with some things. And I'm going to hold up real quick because I want to share more information about that. But I want to, if you need to ask a question, but there's some really good information that we want to share along those lines.
Sure, and I'll kind of move out of the way after I post this question. You guys can just jump right on in. I saw in preparation for this conversation, you made mention about the body remembering and recalling. I was watching a documentary very late last night, and the young woman expressed that I believe what happened was her daughter drowned. Now they were able to save her, but she drowned, and the paramedics got there. She jumped in. She tried to save her daughter. She couldn't get her. Paramedics were able to get her and resuscitate her, but she literally watched the life leave her child's body. She struggles with jumping into water now. And she said each time she does it, her body can recall exactly how she felt watching those sequence of events happen. And in order for her to get beyond that, her coach took her back to the scene of this and said, you have to jump in. So I'm wondering, as you talk about, and dive deeper into the hypnosis, are those some of the ways and reasons why hypnosis, in terms of tricking the mind, like you said, in terms of to start your body on the process of healing? Because I think she said this happened almost 15 years ago, and she said she hurts in the same manner in which it happened on that day. So, would be interested to hear your thoughts on that, and then talk about how your process would then help a person, overcome some of those things.
So when we talk about the way our bodies were made, it's awesome. The way our minds are made is awesome. And what we have is what we call the subconscious or the unconscious mind. That's where all the perfect positive changes happen. Now, all of us are familiar with people telling us that our minds are like computers, right? Well, you actually never forget a thing. So the first time that you've seen, when you opened your eyes and came out the womb and maybe the doctor tapped you, all the experiences, everything you've felt, everything you've experienced, everything that you've seen has not been forgotten. It's tucked away in our subconscious minds. And our subconscious mind is like a file cabinet. And it has all these experiences in it, and the file door closes. Well, what happens is when I experience something abnormal, that file kind of hangs out of the drawer. Now, the drawer tries to close, but it's not allowed to, because that abnormal thing that you've experienced is hanging out. And at some point, the drawer is going to close. But before it can, your body says, I need to deal with this. And so that's why you have, when you're watching a movie, you could be sitting there and all of a sudden tears begin to come out of nowhere. Or you're at the store pushing your grocery cart and you look at somebody and you have a flashback. You start getting headaches and you don't understand why. You go to the doctor and he's medically cleared you. There's nothing wrong with you. But all of a sudden now, you're having indigestion problems, or you're having bowel problems. Why is this? This is a symptom of your emotional backup, right? And so that trauma wants to be dealt with, and it's waking up and it's saying, hey, deal with me. I'm ready to be dealt with. And we use hypnosis to do that. Let me give you an example of, I was going to tell you, when we say trauma, many people think that it has to deal with, someone being raped or abused and things of that nature, which it does. However, I've been in the military, but it's not even about that. Let's imagine a young boy goes to the door with his dad, and the dad opens the door and he says, hello, and it's the mailman. But the dog runs out, and the little boy runs out after the dog. And now the dog gets hit. The boy sees the dog actually die in front of him. And this is my belief, and I don't want to put my beliefs on anyone, but I want you to know what I believe. I believe that that God is everywhere, but we have a real enemy, and he cannot be everywhere like our God can. And so what happens is the boy sees the dog die, and now he puts on these glasses. These are the negative beliefs here. Here we go. Now he says, everybody that loves me leaves me. And these are the glasses that he puts on. This is the way he sees the world. And his experiences are going to actually verify that this is true for him. So what he does is he continues to live life, and then his mom and dad gets divorced, and it says, see, I told you, everybody that loves me leaves me, right? Now, trauma is irrational. Like when you go from middle school to high school, that's a time to celebrate. Like you've passed, you're going on. But what he sees is my teachers are leaving me. Right? He gets a girlfriend, and something happens there, and of course, it's still reinforced. So trauma is a very physical thing. You can feel trauma in your body. That's why we ask our clients, where do you feel it at? If you do a body scan, where do you feel it at? And you can actually feel it. I feel it in my throat. I feel it in my back. I feel it in my stomach, because trauma is a very physical thing. Baby, you want to jump in?
Yes, thank you, babe. That was good. With the example that you gave, Destrian, about the young lady, and even though her child survived, etc., what may be a little bit different about what we do is, as opposed to taking her to the place and saying, okay, you got to jump in and that's how you're going to get over it. What the mind believes, the body conceives. So we don't have to take her to that spot. We don't even have to have her to even remember it as if she's in it. We use a tool that's called dissociate, which means that you're remembering it, but you're remembering it at a distance, at a safe place. So it's a different way of taking a look at past events where you don't feel like you're right in the middle of it. And then it allows, and we guide our clients to look at it differently, because in this situation, the learning is your baby's okay. It's like, so we learn to reframe it so that she sees this in a different format. And so with doing that, then the body starts to realize, okay, you know what? And it starts to dissociate from that negative feelings. And she starts to reframe it and say, okay, and just pull out the learnings from it. And now the feelings and emotions that once were had, she has no longer. It's just like with our computers, with our cell phones, we tend to have updates, right? So we get that notification saying that, okay, it's time for you to update your cell phone or update your computer. Well, it's the same thing with our minds. We are our conscious mind, and as my husband was talking about the subconscious, which the subconscious is really where that holds everything, but which is like about 96% of our brain. But every now and then you need to have an update so that your conscious mind and your subconscious mind are on one accord. And many of us have gone on and on and on all of our lives without having that update. And so our conscious mind, even though your conscious mind say, okay, I want to get healthy, I want to donate some weight to the atmosphere, but your subconscious mind said, well, yeah, when you did that before, you didn't do it. You know, all these other things that is holding on to it. And so it's contradicting itself. And so it needs to have an update so that they're in agreement, like, okay, that's how it was, but this is how it is now. So I like to look at it that way, that people need to have their minds, and their emotions updated. So with new information. So just like in my situation, my update is I'm beautiful, I'm confident, and I'm strong. So I'm not the girl that used to think, yeah, at one time I must have thought I was ugly. I must have thought I was, weak, etc. But no, but once I had that and I realized it, now my conscious mind and my subconscious mind are in agreement. And hey, I was ready to move on. Okay, so we need that update. And a lot of us don't even know it.
No, I definitely agree with you on that, because what I tend to see, like even with myself, if I'm trying to do some self-reflecting while you guys are talking, and a part of the best things that have happened to me is basic reprogramming, where I get out of my own head, I get out of my own way, and when the body and mind is in agreement, you can certainly move forward more effectively. Now, the process that you guys use in terms of the hypnosis, Ronnie and Risha, what I would really like for the folks to understand is, Ronnie, you talked a little bit about, man, it has to be something else, but then it was still, hey, I feel like there's still something else. Can you kind of talk through your journey in exploring that, and then really how the hypnosis aspect of things has really unlocked this world for you, and why you're so passionate about sharing that vision specifically, with our people?
Yes. So I practice something called cognitive behavioral therapy, and I was taught to tell my clients that counseling is a process, it's a journey, and so you have to just enjoy the journey, and it could take a while, but if you're committed to the process, then you'll get better. And then I also learned about solution focused therapy, where there has to be a solution and we can focus on the solution, and the journey doesn't have to take so long. And so when I looked at solution focused therapy, I say, well, I also have to change my methods then. And so that's when I looked into there has to be something faster than this. And so that's how I found hypnosis. Now, let me give you guys an understanding, a little further understanding of what hypnosis is, because there's something called stage hypnosis, where you have lots of fun and people are barking like dogs and quacking like ducks, and that's all fun and good. But what we're talking about is clinical hypnosis. We're talking about having someone to lead us and allow our defenses to drop. Remember, I gave you that example where, the little boy has all these negative thoughts, right? And so what has to happen is we have to be able to relax. And again, many of us are uptight and we're wound up. And so we have to be able to relax before anything happens. Hypnosis is just a pure state of focus. That's all it is. It's nothing else. And it's kind of like zoning out. So if you've ever been at a movie or even watching TV at home, and someone called your name and said, hey, Destrian, Destrian, Destrian. And you're like, what? Right? Well, your mind heard them the first time. But what happened? You were zoned out. You were into your movie. Your mind was somewhere else, but your body was there. That's a form of hypnosis. If you ever drove home like I did, I've been so tired. I've driven home. I had the third shift and I drove home, and I remember pulling up into the garage, but I don't actually remember turning right onto my street. And I don't even remember stopping at the stoplight. And I'm thinking, man, that was dangerous. But my mind went on autopilot and got me home. I didn't think turn left, turn right, stop, put your foot on the accelerator, go a little more. None of that. It was on automatic. And many times, guys, that's what hypnosis is. Let me give you another example. And if everybody wants to participate, you can do this. If you feel comfortable enough, I want you to close your eyes. And if you're not afraid of butterflies, we're gonna imagine and picture a butterfly. Okay. And I want you in your mind to tell me, and you don't have to shout it out, but what colors do you see on that butterfly? Now, I want you to picture another second butterfly coming along. And that butterfly may have different colors on it. What colors do you see on that butterfly? And lastly, this butterfly, the two butterflies are gonna, if you just kind of follow them, they're gonna take you to a special place, a cool place. What place is that? Where did you follow them to? And you can open your eyes. Now, if you saw colors of the butterfly, you may have seen purple or blue or red or yellow, and then you've seen another butterfly. Guys, that was a form of hypnosis. Like, let me be honest, there was no butterfly. And if you went to a green field or you went to the beach or something like that, there is no beach. You were right here sitting in your seat or wherever you are. Your mind left, but your body was right here. And that's hypnosis. And we use that because what you did was you paid attention to my voice. And if you allow my voice to lead you to a place of healing, it can do the exact same thing like it did as you followed the butterfly.
So real quick on that note, I think what we've experienced, at least to the degree that I've had some conversations, and I have a few friends that are in this arena, I think we're getting away from the traditional methods of thinking that there's only one way to solve problems. And I think we're starting to unlock the innovation and the personality that also comes with people. So I think part of the deal with something as special as what you guys are doing, you're offering two things, right? You talked about being solution focused. Number one, I'm willing to coach you and help you. But number two, I am also licensed and clinically um, credentialed to properly assess the situation and give you what you may need in any given moment. Can you talk about the benefits of having both a coach and a counselor?
Resha?
Oh, okay. Well, like you said, and thank you for pointing that out. Yes, because there are certain things that counselors are able to do and licensed to do that I, as a coach, am I not, you know? So as a coach, I can deal with someone that may have deep sadness, but if they have been diagnosed with depression, that's a diagnosis that I, as a coach, would not be able to do. But deep sadness is different. So we do have certain parameters and guidelines that we have to follow. The other thing is that, ethically speaking, I know that sometimes, maybe a client, even after we go through some sessions, they may still benefit from going to counseling. Counseling, what we tell them, we are all for it. That's perfectly, but like you said, it's just different tools in order to help different people. And so with counseling, you're doing more talking, and some people need to do that. With us, or with me as a coach, you're not telling a lot of your story. So a lot of your story, you're not sharing all the details of what may have happened. I'm more so interested in tapping into your subconscious mind and allowing your subconscious mind to bring the answers. And again, it's not me doing it. It's you doing it. It's just that we're guiding you to it. And that's the beautiful thing about it. Like I said, I would have never thought that my hindrance with business had to do with my childhood being teased. You never know. And so you never know what comes up. And sometimes people don't even understand or realize that they had things that they were holding on to. And that's the beauty about the techniques that we use. We want to normalize getting help. We don't have enough people that are willing to be vulnerable enough to say, you know what, I need some help. And that's what we are wanting to do. That's our passion. Because, I could help people with their purpose all day or with their business. But if they're stuck and they're full of limiting beliefs and got all this baggage that they haven't dealt with, it's going to impact their day-to-day experience. So.
No, I really appreciate you expounding on that. And even with affirmations, I found that, starting to talk in an affirmative manner also tends to help me. But I kind of put down reminders around me. And I also try to shield people that are super negative from me. So even in the workplace, when someone comes into my office or what have you, there's something outside of my office that kind of tells them the manner in which I would like you to deal with me, because I don't need your self-limiting beliefs to come in and create more for me. So it says, when I speak to pedestrian, I will. So if you don't want to do that, then you can go ahead and, you can turn around and hit it. But those things are important to me. But I know the group likely has some questions, but before we get to questions from them, can you just at a high level talk about some of the benefits that are associated with hypnosis? Because I think for some, or also debunk some of the myths, right? Because I think for so many, like Ronnie said earlier, it's okay, is someone going to have me doing something that I don't want to necessarily be doing? So I know the trust factor is big, but let's debunk some of those myths and then talk about, outside of the resting better and kind of creating this better mental space for you. I think, Ronnie, you were starting to talk a little earlier about some of the longer term benefits of getting this healing done.
Yeah. So, you're not limited, my video here. So when you go on this journey of discovering yourself, of getting past old wounds, the world seems to open up. You increase your self-confidence. Things that you thought were possible for you, they actually become possible for you, right? There's this self-expression of love and gratitude, appreciation that you have for the world that you see in a much different way now. There's just so many benefits to allowing yourself to become vulnerable, though. And I think that's the key. You have to become vulnerable and say, hey, I don't have it all figured out and I need help. Right. And what we're offering is the fact that you don't have to tell your whole life story. You don't have to relive things. Remember, the body knows how to fix itself and the mind knows how to fix itself too. It's just waiting for an opportunity to say, hey, let me heal. Let me fix listen, you were not born broken. You were not born broken. And so your mind knows exactly how to reestablish what it needs to do to get you back to that level. But we have to give it the opportunity to do that. And that's what hypnosis does.
It sounds like it's a lot. It sounds like it's a lot in the way of getting the individual to then trust themselves all over again. So eliminating those areas of doubt, creating more trust and being able to follow your gut. With that being said, what I want to come to you, Resha, with is, do you see, this is something that we've talked about a lot in our group, do you see that it's more difficult for our men to be more vulnerable? Or are you seeing that tide kind of turn? Because I think so much of the healing that has to happen comes from better communication from our male counterparts to then be in better positions to be the leaders that maybe, we're supposed to be called to be. So what are you seeing from that direction, and how has that been impactful on your business?
Destrian, I do agree. Men definitely, because most women are talkers. I think they say we have 10,000 words a day. But men tend to stuff more, and it's the stigma that, be a man, be strong, you don't cry, just all of those things that were taught being, them growing up. Matter of fact, on another note, another hat that I wear, I'm a writer, a playwright and a director. And a play that we are doing is going through changes. Men hurt too. And so in that, we are dealing with it subliminally, but we're dealing with the fact that the main character of this play is dealing with trauma and experiences from the childhood that have not been dealt with. And that is the very thing that, I mean, me personally, I look at our men as our kings, our leaders, our head of our house. But if they're holding on to so much and don't feel like they have anyone that they can let this outlet or deal with it, it's going to impact their relationships, their financial income, so many areas. If we can get men to really take a step and to try it, my goodness, you're talking about just game changers for relationships, for meeting their goals and their purposes as fathers. So, I mean, I get chills when I think about it. But yes, we do find that men are a little less reluctant to take that step, but it's time. And that's why it's like, we need to normalize that it's okay, and maybe come from the wives and just say, baby, I understand, I'm not going to be able to help with everything, but I'll support you in getting some help. Or, we really need to normalize this because we're losing too many of our men because of this.
Indeed. So I want to take this opportunity before we open the line up. So, for the folks that are on the call, you guys know we really try to lean into the mental health aspect of things where appropriate, because we do see so much of this. I mean, I look up and I see all the things that have transpired. I was watching the Grammys and just listening to some of the stories, like even with Stitch from Ellen, would never thought that some of the trauma and things that he was dealing with, he was going through, and you start to unpack these things, and you don't know if one conversation could have changed things. And I don't want to miss this opportunity to say this to the mass audience. If you are in fact struggling with something and you have not been able to have a conversation with someone, please just reach out to me on the side and let's find a way to connect you with the group here tonight. Because again, you have both coach and counselor, and you have people that truly care, that can relate to the experiences that we all have somehow collectively, drawn from. So it's important that we get the help, but I really need you to take the first step in asking. Secondarily, I would say if you know someone on the call is struggling with something and they may need a nudge to get some help, don't violate their trust, but please encourage them and be a support system for them to get the resources they need. I wanted to just say that, but in the interest of time, we're going to come out at the top of the hour soon, and I don't want to monopolize the commentary. So if there are questions out there, I see some people are commenting in the chat, thanking you both for bringing forth this information, saying how inspirational this is, and encouraging others to get the help if they so need it. But I want to open the floor. Please feel free to raise your hand. I'll acknowledge you. We want to engage with you. So come on, please, guys, ask questions here.
My name is Edna, and I just want to say to Ronnie and Resha, thank you so very much, and thank you for having them as our guests. And I know that mental illness is so real, and I'm so grateful for this outlet so that people can get help. It's okay to get help. We carry baggage. I know at the age that I am now, there are hurts that still kind of trouble me. So it's good to know now that there are avenues and there are ways that I can reach out and get help so that I can be better. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
It's our pleasure, and this is part of the work, right? So we come together for the bit trying to benefit each other from a financial perspective, but this is certainly part of the work. I think Resha said it best earlier. Is you can go out and you can be on purpose all day, but if you're not free mentally to be and enjoy it, it's just that you're working, but you're not immersing yourself in enjoying life. And I think a healthy a healthy mindset allows you to enjoy the fruits of your labor. So this is definitely an important piece of what it is we're trying to do here. Any other questions, please? We welcome the questions.
Hey, Destrin, real quick, one of the things that you asked about the
Sure.
coaching and the counseling is with our coaching program. It's actually a program. So we have an 8 to 10 week program that you do. We meet with you weekly for 8 weeks or 10 weeks, and your life is totally changed. I mean, like I said, we have people in the very first session get a release or a breakthrough from things that they've been stuck, that had them stuck for years, just in the first session alone, and they still have 7 more sessions to go. And so
Right.
it's not counseling. It's a program. It's a very structured program, and you don't have to say much. Your mind is going to do most of the work.
Ronnie, I love that. Now, but for the benefit of the group, can you tell them where they could find information on you and Resha and the host of services that you provide? Is there a website that we can drop in the chat for you here? Feel free to type that in, or tell folks where they can find you, follow you, and support you on social media and otherwise.
Yeah, dear, if you can type that in, but it's healing, 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 the number 4, purpose.com, healing4purpose.com. And you go on there and read about us. You can also schedule a session. It's a complimentary consultation, so we don't charge for that at all, to see if that's something that's a good fit for you. If not, we do know that, hey, maybe you need therapy right now. But what we've seen is, so far, there hasn't been too many people that we had to turn away because of that. We think this complements therapy. And so if you have a therapist, we don't tell you to get rid of your therapist, but this does complement the therapy that you're having. So
I think that's an important distinction as well, because there are not a lot of things. When you think about programs, most people think about things like AA or what have you, but those things tend to be highly effective because you do have the structure, but you also have the support, right? And so you're not going at it alone. So I'm glad you made that delineation. Any other questions from anyone in the group?
Yeah, Destrin, can you hear me?
I certainly can, Mr. Somerville. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Listen, I heard Arisha mention something about a play. Can you tell me when and where that is, please?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. It's going through changes, and it will be April the 8th, which is Easter weekend. It's in Midlothian, Texas, which is a suburb outside of Dallas, Texas. Right now, we're scheduled with 2 performances at 2 p.m. and at 5 p.m., possibly at 8 p.m. But again, that's April the 8th. It's a Saturday, and it can be found on Eventbrite. So maybe I'll put that in there in the chat.
Perfect.
Thank you for asking.
I'll have to remember to reach out. I come to Dallas maybe a few times a month for a couple of clients there, and it'd be good to connect with you guys in person when time permits while I'm there. So I'll definitely hit you guys up. I was just about to come to you, sir. So go ahead.
So Mr. Somerville, the other Mr. Somerville, Donnie and Resha. So when you talk about stuck, like you mentioned that often throughout tonight, can you give us like some examples of where, and I'm thinking about like stuck, and I'm thinking about from a professional perspective, they might be stuck in either pushing past some barriers, pushing past maybe some self-limiting thoughts. Can you give us some examples of how you coach individuals to push past some of those places where they might be stuck, either in the professional arena or maybe even a relationship? If you could speak on those.
Okay. Babe, you want to take that one?
Yeah. So as coaching is It's taking where you are right now and where you want to go. Where do you want to be? And so what we're looking at, many times people have kind of an idea of where I want to go. So right now I'm only making $1,000 a month. What I would really like to do is make $5,000 a month. Well, sounds like a really good goal, but now we're going to look at what's hindering you, what's stopping you, keeping you from making $5,000 a month. And that's where we target those beliefs, those stuck or limiting beliefs that's actually keeping you from doing that. And we explore that and find out, number one, because you may not even have known like that was your belief this whole time that kept you from getting to where you want to be.
And to piggyback on that, it could be something as simple as maybe your view of money. Maybe you feel like you're not a person that deserves to make $5,000. It might come from something from your childhood, maybe because you never saw anyone in your family make that kind of money. You never know what might be the cause of it. So from our standpoint, we look to see, okay, and what might this be stemming from? Because it came from somewhere. And so that's one of the techniques. And then another thing we do is we look at the outcomes that you're wanting and we work backwards. So say, for instance, a year from now, you want to say you're making $5,000 a week. Well, you're not going to just do it. We say, okay, well, if this is your outcome, now what do you have to do 6 months from now in order to do that? What do you need to do 3 months from now to do that? What do you have to do a month from now? What do you have to do a week from now? Okay, and that's why we work back. So we take outcomes that you're wanting and we start working backwards from. So that's kind of one of the strategies we do with our clients and walk them through. And again, it's not us giving them the information, it's asking questions to help them to discover the answers themselves.
Excellent. I see we have a question from Marty. You can come off mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Good evening.
Okay. Well, I'm actually a client that went through the whole process, and I have businesses, but I was feeling stagnated. However, I thought it was because computers have left me behind type of thing and different reasons. But once I finished my session with Coach Resha, now I'm already in my first month of being able to start doing some things that I really was not doing because I dealt with some issues. And so now I'm actually got my office getting set up and went downstairs where I live in a senior 55 plus building, and they were having how to help grieving people this evening. I went to sit in, they thought I was the one that needed it, but I presented it to them and let them know that we can actually help them with that now without it being a long process. And I'm moving in this month and I'm accountable also. Coach Resha keeps me accountable in a good way. It's not like she checks in on me. I actually calls her and say, guess what I did today, So it's a difference. It's a shorter way to get to where you're going and getting the obstacles out the way.
That's excellent. I appreciate you sharing your experience. And it sounds like you're well on your way to doing well, and you're also sharing that information to help bring others along, which is also critically important too. So congratulations to you as well. Well, look, we are at the top of the hour. We certainly want to be respectful for time, but if there are one or two more questions, I think we can make room to take those before I give the floor to either James or Donnie for some closing remarks. We can talk about what the rest of the week looks like, and then we'll let Ronnie and Resha close us out. James, Donnie, do you have anything you'd like to bring to the group?
Yeah, so for the benefit of the group, first of all, we want to thank Resha and Ronnie for coming on, sharing your experience and your time with us on this Monday evening. So we definitely appreciate you and your expertise and sharing that with our community. and hope to have you guys back on for maybe a follow-up. Because we know that this is not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing thing. We understand it. Understand the process. It is a process. It's not an overnight thing. But definitely appreciate you guys for sharing your experience and expertise. For the benefit of the group, so we have for the rest of the week, we have a packed week. Tuesday, so tomorrow evening, we're gonna be going over charts. We'll be looking at the market. We'll introduce a couple of opportunities that one main opportunity that we've been doing our due diligence on and kicking the tires on, and we're now finally ready to roll it out to the community. So don't miss tomorrow. So we'll roll that out tomorrow evening. We also have Thursday London session. So London will be hosted by yours truly, Stacy V will be on hosting the London session. And then we'll also cap the week off with Saturday school. So that's coming as well. So full pack week, don't miss it. But we'll certainly put more information in the chat room and Telegram for those who might miss tonight's session. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Destrin, or Donnie, if you have any questions or any comments there.
Hey, I just want to thank Coach Ronny and Resha for coming on. You guys did an amazing job. I know that our community would be the better for it. And again, the recording will be out there. Please, please, please share it with others, because if you don't need the information, I promise, I think we all could probably think of someone who could use it, right? And then also take advantage of the complimentary session that they are offering, right? Again, if you don't need it, please refer someone to them that could use the information. Again, back to you, Destrin. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all for having us.
Hey, it's a privilege. Before we close out here at Global Effects Trade Club, we'd like to show our appreciation for folks taking their time out of their schedules. We know you probably already had a full day. You were gracious enough to give us some more time. So, family, why don't you come off mute? Let's tell them thank you for their time. Let them feel the love. Let them feel the energy. Please come off mute and show them some love, y'all.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
very
much.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Information was great. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you. Well
you so
appreciated.
much.
Our
Thank you
pleasure.
so much.
Thank you.
Now, one of the things I try to do is have some tangible takeaways. So even as Ronny and Resha were talking, I was kind of jotting down a few things. One of the things that really stuck out to me, and I want you guys to take this with you, Ronny spoke about the emotional release that we typically don't get, the emotional detox, right? And so the same way, he said it perfectly, the same way we may go on a detox from food, or we might fast, or we do this, I think it's important that we take with us that there are alternative ways to just traditional therapy and counseling that we have at our disposal to get this emotional detox done so that we can start the process of deeper healing, right? So that was my key takeaway from tonight. Meet me in the chat at Global Effects Trade Club and let me know what yours was. And we need to keep this conversation and dialogue going. But before we do that, please, one more time for Resha and Ronny, where can the good folks find you at? I know you put it in here, but I want to hear you say it again.
Our website is healing4purpose.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Healing4Purpose, for TikTok, Healing4Purpose, and then I think on Instagram it's Healing4Purpose LLC. So you can reach out. Yes, and then our phone number is 888-8-COACH-8. So 888-8-COACH-8. We love 8 because it's new beginnings. So.
And then for those that may be in the Dallas area or right outside of there, please tell them again, your play is on April 8th, I believe it is?
Yes, our play is on April 8th, 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock. And then also with Healing4Purpose, we do have an office, so we can meet virtually, or we can work, for those that are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, if they prefer in-person sessions, we also offer in-person sessions as well. But yes, the play is April 8th, Easter weekend, at 2 p.m. And you can find it on Eventbrite.
Thank you so much. And Thank you to both of you for taking the time. And as James indicated, we don't do this one time. We feel like this is a series of things that add up to be a great benefit to the community. So we look forward, and I offer you an invitation to come back and give an update for the group at a later date. But I'd like to close tonight's call by again thanking all of you for taking some time. Again, thank you to Resha, Ronny, to our amazing leaders, James, Dunny, and a host of others who helped make this thing called Global Trade Club happen. But final thoughts on this is, again, if you or someone you know is currently struggling with a mental health issue, or you just feel like you may just need to talk to someone to figure out what the next steps might look like for you, please take advantage of the free services. And again, if I can be additive in terms of making the connection here, please reach out. Myself, James, and Donnie are here to serve, support. All right. So with that, I want to thank you all again. I hope you have an amazing night. Go and dominate this week and eliminate some of those self-limiting thoughts this week. You guys have a good one. We love you, and there's nothing that you can do about it.
Thank you, Destiny.
Thank you.